This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. And we're back again. This is Around Kansas. I'm Frank, she's Deb, and he's Michael over there. So anyway, it's Wednesday again, and we're into July. And of course, we're in the good old summertime, baseball, hot dogs, and all of that. And so the next story is going to be about another baseball player, very famous one, from the state of Kansas. And he was deaf.
Oh, I love it.
But it's in the story, so I'm going to give it away a little bit. But you know how the catcher behind home plate will give the pitcher signs? Dummy Taylor, that's who the story's about, is really the one that created that because he was a pitcher and they needed to communicate.
Oh, my goodness.
And also then developed signs that the various players use, and they still use them today on the field.
Sure.
You know, we don't really see it, but they do. That's how they talk to each other. So anyway,
wow.
This is really a cool story about Dummy Taylor.
Awesome.
This is a story suggested to me by Ben Coates, who is a player for the Topeka Westerns vintage baseball team. Luther Haden Dummy Taylor was a deaf-mute American right-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball from 1900 to 1908. He played for the New York Giants and Cleveland Bronchos and was one of the key pitchers on the Giants' National League Championship teams of 1904 and 05. In 1901, his first full season in the major leagues, Taylor led the National League by pitching in 45 games and ranked second in the league with 37 complete games. In 1904, he won 21 games for the Giants, and in 1906, his 2.20 ERA was the lowest on a pitching staff that included Baseball Hall of Famers Christy, Mathewson, and Ironman Joe McGinnity. Taylor was the only successful deaf pitcher in Major League Baseball and was regarded, along with Dummy Hoy, as a role model and hero in the American deaf community in the early 20th century. In the 1900s, Taylor was reported to be the highest-paid deaf person in the United States. He was also known as the comedian of the Giants teams, waving a lit lantern when an umpire refused to call a game due to darkness, and coaching at third base in rubber boots when an umpire refused to call a game due to rain. In 2000, author Darryl Brock wrote the historical novel Havana Heat about Taylor's experience in professional baseball. The book won the Dave Moore Award in 2000 as the most important baseball book published that year. Taylor was born in Oskaloosa, Kansas in 1875. He was the son of Arnold B. Taylor, a farmer, and his wife Emaline. At the time of the 1880 United States Census, Taylor was living in rural Jefferson County with his parents, 2 older brothers, and 2 older sisters. Some accounts indicate Taylor was born deaf. However, at age 4, Taylor was not listed as being deaf and dumb or otherwise handicapped in the family's U.S. Census record. By age 10, Taylor was living at the Kansas School for the Deaf in Olathe. He was listed in the 1885 Kansas State Census as a pupil at the Deaf and Dumb Institute. Taylor continued to live at the Kansas School for the Deaf through his high school years. He was a pitcher for the school baseball team and participated in boxing. Interviewed in 1942, Taylor recalled he had dreams as a boy of becoming a great boxer, but his parents objected. At the time of the 1895 Kansas State Census, Taylor was living in Olathe. After leaving the Kansas School for the Deaf, Taylor began playing semi-pro baseball with a team in Nevada, Missouri. He then played at Lincoln, Illinois with the minor league teams in Wabash, Crawfordsville, Danville, and Terre Haute, Indiana. In 1897, he played for a minor league team in Mattoon, Illinois. He played for the Shreveport Tigers of the Southern League in 1898 and 1899. In 1900, Taylor began the season playing for Albany, New York. At the time of the U.S. Census in June 1900, Taylor was residing at a boarding house in Albany, and his occupation was listed as a printer. In August 1900, Taylor was called up to the major leagues to play for the New York Giants. He made his major league debut on August 27, 1900. In his first game for the Giants, 5 Boston players tried to take advantage of Taylor's deafness by trying to steal third base. Interviewed in 1942, Taylor recalled with pride, "I nailed each one. I walked over to Herman Long, the last man caught, and let him know by signs I could hear him stealing." Appearing in 11 games for the 1900 Giants, Taylor compiled a 4.3 record with a 2.45 ERA. In his second season in the major leagues, Taylor was a workhorse for the 1901 Giants. He led the National League with 43 games started and appearing in a total of 45 games. In 9 seasons in the major leagues, Taylor compiled an overall win-loss record of 116 and 106 and 767 strikeouts. He threw 237 complete games and 21 shutouts. He had a career ERA of 2.75. Taylor was profoundly deaf and communicated on field with his teammates in sign language. He is credited with helping to expand and make universal the use of sign language throughout the modern baseball infield, including, but not limited to, the use of pitching signs. Taylor was inducted into the American Athletic Association of the Deaf Hall of Fame in 1953. He was also inducted into the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame in 2006. Fort Wallace stood on the frontier in the midst of the Plains Indians Wars on a major stage route and rail line. Beside the 1865 stagecoach station, a modern museum with thousands of artifacts tell that story, like the fossil of a 40-foot plesiosaur is suspended from the ceiling. Located on Highway 40 midway between Hayes and Colorado Springs, the Fort Wallace Museum is as welcome a sight today as the fort itself in the 1860s. Discover the fightingest sport in the West.